Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome inside Garage Door Sports, your no-holds-barred weekly discussion on everything in the sporting world. For all your news on hockey, baseball, basketball, football, soccer, and more, you've come to the right place. And now it's time for your hosts, Nick McVicker, Kyle Vardy, and IRFAN Manji. That's right, folks. We are back once again. Nick McVicker here, joined through the Garage Door Sports Cup phone by my great co-host, Kyle Vardy. Kyle, how are you doing today, buddy?
Doing good. Finally got my coffee this morning, so I'm starting to slowly wake up.
Yeah, that's kind of important. Coffee's a good thing for you. I've seen you when you don't have coffee, and it's not pretty.
I might go on a murdering spree if I don't have coffee, so we'll see.
This is true. Well, we got a lot to get into, man. We got a little NHL to talk. We're going to preview the Grey Cup, but first, let's start with our kickoff segment sponsored by Canada Kicking Academy. Calling all kickers and punters in the Southern Ontario region. If you are looking for year-round professional development with elite competition, you need to train with the Canada Kicking Academy. The Ferrara brothers, Daniel and Gabe, are both University of Guelph alumni, and after illustrious university careers, they want to teach you everything they've learned over the years. If you want to take your special teams game to the next level, you need to train with the Canada Kicking Academy. Visit them at CanadaKickingAcademy.com or follow them on Instagram at Canada Kicking Academy. And, dude, we got a really cool guest for today. Someone who not only has gone through the Canada Kicking Academy, and as I quote Gabe on this one, he is a disciple and one of the best people he's ever met. We got all-Canadian and University of Guelph kicker Eric Stranz joining the show today. Eric, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing really good. Thanks for having me. That's quite an introduction. Love it.
Hey, I asked Gabe, I wanted to talk to him about you before just to get a background, and he's like, oh, man, this guy's amazing. He's done all this stuff, and he had nothing but good things to say. So
that's awesome. I love that guy.
Gabe's the best. Anyways, man, you have had an incredible season. As I said, you were named All-Canadian for 2021. What was that season like for you in Guelph?
It was an awesome season. Going from the off season to the season where I would train 4 days a week with Gabe and Dan, and then going into the season where you go every day nonstop. It was a good season. I really liked it.
And you guys do have one thing as Guelph. You have a title that no one else can claim this year. You beat the Vanier Cup champs, Western Mustangs, in week 2. That was a huge week for you guys. You guys played amazing that game. What was it like? That was your first game of the season. So what was that kind of like, getting everything going that way?
Well, leading up to that, we had almost a straight month of training camp because we started a couple weeks before everyone else. So the boys were fired up. Like, we knew week 1 it was going to be a tough game. Like, going into it, Western hasn't lost a regular season game since 2016. So we kind of went into it thinking, okay, like, not that we have nothing to lose, just we're ready, we're fired up, and that we know we can beat them. And we did. Close game, but came down to the last minute, and we did it. So that's all that matters.
Yeah, trust me, I'm aware of the Western streak there. I'm the play-by-play voice of Western football, so...
Yeah, he's kind of a homer when it comes to that, but that's a whole different situation.
Not at all. I just respect good football. Come on, don't give me that.
I was gonna say, how different was the off season this year? Was it way different compared to previous years, especially with everything going on in the whole world?
Yeah, it was a bit different. The main thing for us was we probably get kicked off, I want to say, like 10 different fields. Like, we go to the university, we go to different high schools, and there'd be bylaw coming by like, man, you can't be on these fields. Like, that was just the biggest barrier. And it was compared to an 8-month off season to a 20-month off season. It was very different, but it made strides in my game, and that's all that I really care about right now.
What was the biggest thing you said you probably learned over that 20-month break?
Basically that, like, what I can do in football. Like, after the 2019 season, I was kind of iffy. I was like, it's football for me. It is what I really want to do. And then during the 20 months before the next season, I was like, okay, like, fell in love with football again. I was like, this is something I want to do. This is something I love. I love the guys. I love the coaches. So this is what I want to do.
I was just gonna ask. I was gonna say, like, are you planning to try and pursue further football, or are you gonna go like stick with because you're in accounting, right?
Correct. I'm in accounting, yeah. But
Yeah.
so this upcoming draft is my draft year. So I'm eligible for this draft season. I've declared, and now it's just training to get to that point.
Okay, perfect.
How has Gabe, who has gone through the draft, gone and played on a few teams in the CFL, now he's signed with that Ticats on their practice squad right now. How has he kind of helped you mentally prepare, I guess, for the upcoming few months with the draft coming up?
Well, it's just him kind of believing in me, sending me texts saying, hey, man, like, great game. And mainly in the offseason, like, having someone there that's made it, by your side, competing with you and just kind of giving you tips and, like, all the positive messages he sends. It's pretty awesome. He's been a huge mentor to me.
I'm kind of curious. What made you choose kicker as your position?
So it's a lot of people ask it. So I'm not like the stereotypical kicker. I'm not tall, skinny. Like, I'm 6', 215, so I'm a bit beefier than a normal kicker. So I think it was back in 2013. I was playing running back, and I broke my collarbone playing running back. And they're like, okay, we need a kicker on the team. And they're like, I know you played soccer. Can you kick? I'm like, yeah, I can kick, but I can't punch because I'm in a sling. So they're like, all right, you can kick, but then as soon as you kick, run off the field. And as soon as that point on, I kind of was like, all right, I'm pretty good at this. So I stuck with it. I still played other positions, but then as soon as I got to grade, I want to say 12, I kind of was like, okay, I need to focus on kicking. This is what I'm good at. And here we are.
I kind of want to see video of this kicking in a sling and running off the field.
It's in his highlight tape. It's in his highlight tapes.
Sure it is. So being named an All-Canadian, how special was that moment when you saw that?
That was huge. That was huge. So, hey, I know as soon as my coach called me in the office and was like, hey, you're named first team All-Canadian kicker, I was like, it just kind of hit me. I was like, wow, like I set a goal for myself at the start of the year to be first team All-Canadian and to be academic All-Canadian. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, okay, I achieved both. So I was on top of the world. It was awesome.
That's so cool, man.
So being a kicker, obviously have late game situations, being that type of guy. How do you deal with the pressure of potentially making those make or break kicks?
It's just repetition. It's just in practice having your team kind of behind you, like yelling at you, spraying water at your feet, all that kind of stuff. It's just all leading up to it. It's just knowing that your team has your back, your coaches are confident in you, and that you can execute it. That's the big thing.
Sounds about right to me. Kyle, anything else you want to ask him before we flip the script and go to Grey Cup?
Honestly, the only other thing would be like, how has the kicking academy, like obviously you mentioned Gabe and stuff like that, what was the biggest thing the kicking academy helped improve your game?
I would say the point that they always say is, to be the best, you must train with the best. And doing that there, kicking with Gabe, coaching with Dan, it's just elevated my game by giving me that confidence and the ability to be able to train with the best players around has elevated it to new heights.
I like it.
I like it. Little kicking academy plug. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Gabe will love it too.
Yeah.
Well, Eric, that's awesome, man. It sounds like you had a great year. We're cheering you on from Garage Door Sports. Let's flip the script now to hopefully your next location in the CFL. Grey Cup Sunday. Hamilton, Winnipeg, rematch of 2019. Kyle, you're the betting
Mhm.
guy here.
Yep.
Who's the favorite to win this one?
The favorite's got to be Winnipeg. As much as my lovely girlfriend does not agree with me, as she is a Hamilton fan, I don't know how much a home field advantage is going to play a factor. I think it will play a factor, but I think Winnipeg's been the better team all year. I think Winnipeg has the better defense, and I think they're set up better to actually win the game. Obviously, last week was very uncharacteristic for them with having like 8 turnovers, and they still ended up winning that game, which I don't know if that's better for the Blue Bombers or more embarrassing for Saskatchewan that they couldn't take advantage of those 8 turnovers.
Probably.
Yeah, combination of both potentially. I mean, you got Hamilton who just didn't show up in the first half against the Argos and then dominated in the third and fourth quarter. So it's like you got tail of 2 tapes. Obviously, apparently the Timbit Stadium or whatever she calls it, the Tim Box or something, and should be up and roaring. So we'll see how that goes. I have personally have the Blue Bombers, but it could very well be a close game.
Well, it's funny because like you watched the 2 games last week, the conference finals, and Eric, I don't know if you got a chance to see them, but like I think the 2 teams that won didn't win those games. They just did enough not to lose those games, and I think that's how they ended up in the final, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the teams that lost the game to themselves. Like they're like the Ticats and the Bombers. Like they won the game because the other team lost. It wasn't because they outplayed them.
It's true.
It just came down to.
Oh, go ahead.
They came down like obviously Dane Evans going 16 for 16 and kind of running it up. That was the difference for sure in that game.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think that, eh? Like, we were all expecting Jeremiah Masoli to be the guy, and then he sucked. Like, there is no way getting around it. He looked awful when he was in. Then they go to Dane Evans, and he can't miss a throw. Now, I know he was making smarter plays. Don't get me wrong. Like, he was playing within the offense, but that was a huge turnaround there, Kyle.
Oh, 100%. And it's one of those Masoli, honestly, I think is this might be controversial. I think he's overrated, but that's just me personally. Obviously, I watch CFL. I don't watch too much CFL, but every time I watch, he ends up throwing 2 picks or ends up overthrowing a guy by 40 yards. And it's like the guy's wide open by 10 yards and somehow he still overthrows him. I'm not quite sure how he does that. But I think Evans is the guy to go to in the Grey Cup. They still haven't apparently announced who. Did they?
They announced it like Thursday. Evans is
starting.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say I thought they announced it already.
Okay, I didn't see that part. So I mean, Evans definitely is the guy to go to. Obviously, I don't think he's going to recreate the 16 for 16 what he did with 4 touchdowns in the second half. But even then, I think what
he had 1 touchdown.
I think he ran 2. Do you know?
Dane Evans ran for 2, but he scored like 1 touchdown through the air. Sorry, I thought you were talking passing.
No, I don't care about passing. I'm talking total touchdowns.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Did the points go up on the board? Yes, it's a touchdown.
Points went up on the board. It took them a while to get there, but they got up on the board.
Yeah. So it's that's it basically it's what he said. It's like Argos settled for like 5 field goals in the first half, and you can't do that. Yep. Like it was like, look, it's another 10-yard field goal. It's like, okay, it means I can't punch it in from the 10-yard, like from up close. It's like you can't do that. It's simple as that. Obviously, you can do that a couple times, but you can't do that 4 times in the first half and the half at 12-0. So, I mean, I think Winnipeg wins. I think Evans does do great, but I mean, Winnipeg's defense, from what I've read, is apparently the best defense in the last 50 years. So
yeah, they are. They're a top defense, and Hamilton is middle of the pack in all of the offensive categories. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they can kind of break that down. Eric, I wanted to get your opinion on this, but who do you think is a wild card that could really turn this game around for their team? Like, it could be either side, but who do you think is like the true wild card that kind of controls how this game ends up?
I think it's going to be Speedy B. I think if he returns one, that's all the momentum they need. I think for Hamilton, that's who's going to be a big factor. It's going to be special teams for them. It's going to be if they can get those returns to whatever they want to get, 15 average yard returns, then that's huge for them. They return one, that's a lot of momentum. I know for us, every time we get a return touchdown, it's like the game changes. It doesn't matter if we're down 30 or if we're up, whatever. It's our game now. So I think that's going to be the difference if it happens.
I like that. I like that a lot. Kyle, who do you think is going to be the wild card or the X factor?
For Winnipeg, X factor is Andrew Harris. Obviously, Andrew Harris still has that kind of lingering knee injury. Yes, he came back from it, but I'm sure it's still bugging him somehow. You don't really get rid of knee injuries in a couple weeks. So, with saying that, he still went off for 136 yards last week and a touchdown. But he is that key cog on that offense that gives Collaros, doesn't have as much pressure on his back, I guess is what you could say. So, obviously, Collaros last week threw 3 picks, and that was half of his total for the entire regular season. So, I don't think he's going to do that again. But I think they're going to also rely on Andrew Harris. I mean, weather right now looks beautiful, so I'm not sure what they're projecting for weather-wise there. But I think he's going to be a key factor. And when it comes to Hamilton, I think it's going to be Simone Lawrence. I think it's kind of his last ride of things, and I think he's got to have a fantastic game, step up, make big plays when he needs to. And that Hamilton defense has to step up and give their offense a chance to match point for point and go ahead. So those are my 2 key factors for the game.
I like those. I think for me, the biggest key factor for Hamilton is going to be Dane Evans. I think if he can come in and be consistent, he doesn't have to do anything crazy, but if he plays like the simple game that he played against Toronto, he's not going to go 16 for 16. I'm not pretending that's going to be a thing, but if he can play simple, play within what the defense is giving him, it's a great defense, so they might not give him a whole lot, but if he's smart enough to be able to play within that, I think he is the guy who can change this game for Hamilton in a heartbeat. Eric, I got to point out a little funny point here, though, for both teams. They ranked dead last in field goal percentage across the entire season. How do you feel about that as a kicker?
It's kind of unsettling, especially since I know both of the kickers on each team. I've trained with them before.
Yeah.
I mean, both teams have gone through, I think, 3, maybe 4 kickers. So it's kind of showing that they're replaceable and it's something that matters to them. So I think in this game, it could come down to a field goal. I'm guessing it's going to be close. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, the line right now, I believe, is 3.5, right, Kyle?
Yep.
So 3.5-point favorites are the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. As you said, you're leaning towards the Blue Bombers, but betting-wise, since we might as well get that in a little bit,
Yep.
What's your betting feeling on this? Is it going to be a 4-point win by the Bombers, or is it going to be close?
I mean, I could 100% see this being like a 6 to 7 point game where it's like a touchdown difference rather than a field goal. And I think that's why the 3.5 is so enticing for some people, because it would come down to, that they need a last second touchdown to tie or whatever it may be. I think it could be that the over under is 44 right now. And I like that as the over, because I do think Winnipeg's defense is stingy, but at the same point, they were shown last week that they could give up some yards. And I think Hamilton at home is riding the high of beating the Argos at their home last week. I think there's a chance that over does hit. I think it would be probably more like a 48 point game to me. And I think that'd be intriguing, because the last thing you want, and this is just me as a sports fan, last thing you want is like a 10-3 game where every offense is struggling. Like, you don't want that. That's just to me. Yes, it's great. It's great football because it shows you the strengths of both teams, but it also shows you the weaknesses of both teams too. So it's like I would much rather have a shootout, go last second. One team needs a drive at the last minute to go tie the game. Like, to me, that would be entertaining, make the Grey Cup worth watching, like that kind of stuff. So maybe it's just my heart going with the over on that one, but that's what I would lean towards.
Fair enough. I like it. I think that's a fair bet, honestly. And I do expect there to be some fireworks in this one. Whether it's special teams, like you said, Eric, or whether it's a couple big plays from Kolaros or Evans, I think there's going to be some fireworks in this one, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. That'll do it for our Grey Cup segment here, and that'll do it for our kickoff segment sponsored by Canada Kicking Academy. If you want to take your special teams game to the next level, visit them at CanadaKickingAcademy.com or follow them on Instagram at Canada Kicking Academy, and you too could be an all-Canadian just like Eric right here. We're going to take a quick break. Eric, do you want to stick around for a little NHL talk, man?
No, I'm going to go.
All right, sounds good, man. We will be right back after this. Eric, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, guys.
We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, this is IRFAN Manji from Touchline Thoughts, powered by the Garage Door Sports Network. We are an all-soccer podcast hosted by yours truly and Paige Culver. We provide news, analysis, and opinions each episode as well. You can listen to us on your favorite podcatcher and follow us on Twitter or Instagram. Cheers.
Great segment there with Eric. Lots of fun talking some Grey Cup and as well as the successful season he had with the Guelph Griffins. Kyle, we got some hockey to talk now. A little bit of Leaf talk before we get into the absolutely insane story that came out of Arizona this week with the Coyotes. But let's focus first on the Leafs. And the question is this week, and I think everyone in Leaf land has been asking it, what's going on with the blue and white? I know injuries have kind of slowed their season down a little bit, but something doesn't look right at all. I'm leaning towards the decor being the problem.
Yeah, I definitely think they need some additions to that. The Muzzin Hole pair hasn't looked great recently. Obviously, I wasn't. Justin and I were not fans of us keeping Hole in the expansion draft. Much rather kept McCann and replace Hole somewhere else. But beggars can't be choosers. So, in saying that, I think they need to just settle down. I think tonight's game against Chicago is going to be huge. Obviously, Fleury coming off that big 500th win. Most likely will get the start tonight. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, that Columbus game was a heartbreaker where it's, you're up 5-1, you give up 3 straight towards the end of the game, which isn't ideal. But obviously that kind of happens when you're up 5-1. A lot of times you take the foot off the gas and the team crawls back in. That Tampa game, they were in it, and then all of a sudden the wheels kind of fell off, and they tried to get it back and didn't quite do that. So, I mean, I think as a whole, I think it's that one pairing that's really kind of letting them down. Obviously, the injury to Sandin didn't help either, so they're kind of scrambling for that third pairing as well. But I mean, Riley's been good. I can't complain about him.
Nope.
Ever since he signed that contract, I think he's got 19 points in 19 games or something like that. Or 17 points in 19 games.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, he's played really well. He's not the issue for sure. I agree.
No. And I mean, Soup's kind of come back down to earth a little bit compared to where he was. And there's nothing wrong with that. I got no problem with him because, I know what he's going to be. So it's not on him whatsoever. But did I really expect him to keep a 1.6 goals against average? No. And anybody who thought he was going to do that is delusional.
But the thing is, he still has a save percentage above .935. He's at .935 right now. Right, so
no, I know.
I don't think he's come back down to earth. I think the team in front of him is just leaving him out to dry a lot more. I think that's what the case is. I don't know if he's actually playing any worse than he was before. But when you're giving up rebounds with no one clearing it like they are now, the Leafs aren't clearing anything at the moment, and they're all standing in front of them too.
Yeah, I think they need a quick reset. I think is what they really need. I think they need to. I think they need, honestly, I think they need a blowout win. I think they need, I think they thought they were potentially going to get one with the Columbus game, and obviously they let them back in. So I think they need to blow out Chicago or something along those lines. Make it one of those, a statement game. Hey, we're still here. We're not going away.
Well, it's funny. A week ago they did that, though. You go back a week and a bit, it's the Colorado 8-3 demolishing where they dominated that game.
Yeah, and I think honestly that was the kind of start of the letdown.
It
Obviously,
was.
Minnesota game was kind of tough because they were down 3-0, battled back, and then lost in overtime. Um, Obviously, that Winnipeg game was an absolute shit show. That's a whole different thing. I mean,
Yeah, what
that
was
that
that?
game itself didn't help with everything going on either.
No.
Terribly officiated game leads to suspensions on both sides, and I think the Leafs kind of got deflated after that. And I think obviously they kind of bounced back against Columbus, but it's Columbus, so it's one of those like Columbus has been good this year, but it's still Columbus. So
Have they?
What?
Have they been good this year?
Yeah, they're like 13-11-3 or something like that.
13, 11, and 1. They're out of a playoff spot. That's what I mean. Like, when you say good, you just mean better than we thought they were going to be?
Well, yeah, I mean, like they're not dead. They're not dead last
Okay.
in this division, which
Fair.
is what we
Okay,
expected
fair
them to
enough.
be.
I
Basically,
apologize. I misunderstood what you meant.
yeah. So it's one of those it's still Columbus though, so they're not fantastic by any means, but I mean they're better than they were. So
For sure.
You obviously do that, and then you play a legit team in Tampa the next night, and all of a sudden it's like, well, okay, back down to earth. So I think with Chicago struggling, but obviously Chicago having the pieces there to be that team, right? Like you look at Columbus versus Chicago. Columbus has a better record than Chicago, like technically, but you look at Chicago's pieces. I'd take Chicago's pieces over Columbus. So I think a statement win against one of those guys would definitely be much needed for sure. So
100%.
But we'll see what happens. I'm not sure. And they get a couple days off after tonight's game too. So,
Yeah, and I think we talked about the defense before. I just want to swing back to that point here.
Yep.
We mentioned Riley has been good. You know the other guy who I've been really impressed with over the last few weeks is Liljegren. I think he's done a great job. He's been obviously the expectations were so high for this player coming in because he was drafted in the first round. I think 15th overall was it?
17th if I remember
17th,
correctly.
whatever, something in the mid-teens, right?
Yep.
And everyone thought he was going to be so good, so high. And it's taken him a while to get to the NHL. But he looks like he has found a nice role when he was playing alongside Sandin before Sandin got hurt. Right?
Yeah.
And then with that Hall-Muzzin pairing just looking absolutely awful against Tampa, what they did was they flipped him and Hall. And they had him playing with Muzzin. And I actually think that stabilized the core for the rest of the game. Now, the team didn't score enough up front to get back into the game at that point. But after that, I don't think they gave up a goal.
Right.
So I've been very, very impressed with how he's played. He has the potential, obviously, to be a top player, but I think he's going to fall more in that second pair sort of role for the rest of his career. But he's looked really, really good, and I think that they need to give him a little bit more playing time along with Muzzin for the next little bit, because I don't think that Hall-Muzzin pair is right. I just don't see it working. I know it worked at the beginning of the season, but that was also because the team was just flying, and I think they kind of covered up mistakes that pair was having. And I think now you got to find a role where both of those guys can get the most out of their play, Muzzin and Hall, right? And if that means that they have to split up the Liljegren-Sandin pair and flip that around a little bit, maybe you got to just do it. Like, I think it's time, especially mid-season. You're playing pretty well as a team. Like 18-8-2 is nothing to scoff at. So might be the time to start taking a few risks with the decor to see what actually works.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that injury to Sandin that
hurt.
It hurt because Sandin was playing so great as that the middle pair to bottom pair guy where you can rotate in and out no problem.
Yeah.
Obviously, now you have to, as you said, you kind of have to do that with Liljegren, and I think he will. I think he will do well in that. And like Liljegren's been one of those. He was potentially going to be a first overall pick when he was going like the year before the draft. Then he got the whole mono thing, and it kind of delayed his
career.
I was going to say development, But so obviously he kind of had to learn his game back in the AHL,
Yeah.
and he kind of did that. So I mean, he looked good in the AHL. Now all of a sudden he's getting a shot in the NHL, and he's looking good. Do I think he's going to be a top 2 guy? No, but
there's potential for him to be that, but I don't
Yeah.
think he gets there.
yeah. See, I think he's going to be a middle pairing guy.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
I have no problem with that whatsoever.
I agree.
If you can get a middle pairing guy and he can go up and down your lineup when you need him to, perfect, no problem. You know, you got your stud in Riley, and Riley's not going anywhere right now.
Yeah.
So, and you have a potential stud in Sandin, who obviously when he comes back from his knee injury, we'll see how he bounces back.
Yeah.
But I do think they have to shake up the pairings, and I'm not sure. I haven't watched the last couple games, so I'm not sure who they have as the 6th defenseman or the. Is it Rubens?
Rubens, yeah.
So
And he's looked fine. Nothing special.
yeah. Well, and that's the thing with Rubens is he's just one of those, like, he's kind of like a better version of Marty Marincin, basically. So it's like it works, but I think they need to do something else. And I like the little trade they made yesterday. I mean, it's the kid they picked up is 23. He's like, it's a no lose situation. You know, it's a lottery type guy. And everything I've been reading on this guy is, you know, he's got potential, just hasn't put it all together.
This
So
is Bird, right?
I mean, sorry.
It's Bird, right? I think the name.
Yeah. So I mean, if he can put anything together and become, you know, a half decent defenseman, then I think it's worth it to dump Curtis Gabriel, who wasn't even playing for us, really.
Yeah.
So
I didn't mind the Gabriel signing in the offseason as depth, but then our depth looked really, really good at the beginning of the season, so kind of defeated the purpose of bringing Gabriel in.
yeah, Hunter, and it was one of those, like, we had going into the season was we had 12 guys who could fill up the last 6 rows or 6 positions, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you take it as it is, I guess. But
Yeah. And I don't think anyone would be upset with how it's worked out. Like, I think Gabriel was brought in as a possibility who could fill the bottom roles.
Yep.
We found people who worked better together. We moved him on. Like, I don't think anyone could be upset with that. And if they are upset, then they're being a little too picky.
Yeah, I was gonna say then it's a different situation. So
Yeah. It's just not really worth it. So we're looking. So I talked about the defense. Is there a simple solution on the defense right now? Is it just switching those pairs up right now? Maybe that'll be the simple solution, or is it a deeper issue? Do you think, Kyle?
I do think, to be honest, I think they need to go out and get somebody, and that's just my personal opinion. I do think getting somebody, not necessarily high end, but like somebody who's middle to bottom pairing, somebody who can not necessarily be a difference maker in the lineup, but just somebody who can solidify things. I think that's really what they need, and I'm not sure who like that could be. I'm not really sure about that one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could look maybe to Montreal, like maybe you look at like Ben Sherratt type of thing. Obviously, that'd be kind of a big. It would be a big kind of go out and get him. Obviously, he's a rental guy. Not sure what the acquisition cost would be, but he's the type of big defenseman. Looked fantastic for Montreal in the playoffs last year. Obviously, side by side with Weber, and it's just he's a difference maker because he's the type of guy he's not going to wow you by anything, but he's physical. He's like the type of defenseman that you need going into the playoffs, and I think he'll do well with that Leafs team. So, I mean, you look at that. Maybe you go to Buffalo. Maybe get like a Colin Miller type of thing. Not sure how he would fit or how that would do, but I mean, I think it would work.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to think of who else. Maybe you double dip in Buffalo. Actually, maybe you get like a Robert Hagg or something who came over in that.
That could be an interesting
in that
one.
Ristolainen deal, right?
Yeah, that could be
He's
an
a
interesting
physical guy, good shot blocker. Um, you know, 6'2", like he's pretty big. So I mean, he'd be a perfect third pairing guy. Maybe if you need to, you could throw him second pairing. Maybe if it's Buffalo, maybe send Engvall back or Mikheyev or something, because I think Hag's only making like $1 million or something like that for salary. So
Yeah.
you swap out salaries directly and see how that goes. There's different options that are available for sure. So I think they need to go out and get somebody and kind of make a difference there.
Yeah, I like that. I think those are some good moves, Kyle. I think that's a good one. Last question on the Leafs, then we'll flip to the Coyotes. Do you think this stretch at all hurts their chances of re-signing Campbell in the offseason, or is this just like part of the season? Every team kind of has it, sort of thing.
I think everybody has those lulls. Obviously, we're talking right now about a four game stretch, I guess technically.
Yeah.
Right. So it's one of those. Are we overreacting based on how well they were playing before? Potentially.
Absolutely.
Maybe it's just like a little stretch where it's, hey, we're not playing our greatest, but we're picking up points here and there. Right. It's like the last 4 games we picked up 3 points. Is it ideal? No. But in saying that, you lost to Winnipeg and you lost to Tampa. So it's like those aren't terrible teams. It's not as if you're losing to Buffalo 6-0.
And Minnesota is
Right?
also leading their division, by the way.
Oh, I know. Minnesota's been fantastic this year. So, I mean, and when I said losing to Buffalo, I meant more like Ottawa. It's like losing to Ottawa 6-0. It's like that's not what's happening right now.
No.
It's you lost 5-3 to Tampa, which is like whatever. They scored an empty net. So it was really like a 4-3 game. So it's one of those like it's really not that bad. Obviously, you don't want to be giving up 4 or 5 goals a night. Obviously, there's that. They're reverting back to the Leafs of 3 years ago. But I trust Keefe as a coach. I think he's going to reel him back in. I think he's going to get him reset in. And I think you might see in the next 3 or 4 games, you might see them start winning games, 2-1, 3-2, like that kind of stuff, where it's not giving up 4 or 5. But I think we'll have to see this next stretch and see what they do. So.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know why I didn't say this earlier. Another guy that they possibly could go after. What about like a Hayden Fleury from Seattle? Mil 3 contract, not worth much, but man, he would look good on this team. I think.
The counter to that is to me, I'd rather Giordano.
Well, yes, you'd obviously rather Giordano, but I'm talking contract wise, right? Like we don't have a lot of space to bring in contracts.
No, but Seattle will retain half, right?
Still,
or you do one of those 3-team trades where Seattle retains half, somebody else retains half, and all of a sudden Giordano's contract is now $1.5 million. Right?
Yeah,
or $2 million or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Where it's of course you got to give up picks and stuff like that, but like for Seattle, I would hate to do something like that. Would like is a Robertson get it done, right? Does that get it done?
Yeah. No, it's possible. I thought about the name. I was trying to think of guys that might work, and I think Fleury could be an interesting addition because I don't think our top pair is the biggest issue right now, right? Like,
no, but I think the biggest thing as the Leafs, do you want to bring in a younger guy to help try and solidify things, or do you want to bring in a
veteran,
either a veteran or like an older veteran, right? Very similar to, not necessarily. I'm not comparing the two, but like what the Caps did with Chara, where it brought a veteran presence, like that kind of thing. Bring in a Giordano or something along those lines for the Leafs, right? He's going to fit pretty well. He would replace Hole in that second pairing, basically. You could almost throw him up in the first pairing if you wanted to, but I would think he would just be fine in the second pairing. Right?
Yeah, fair.
May not be this fleetest of foot anymore, but then again, neither is Justin Hole, and he's 10 years younger. So I think it would be a seamless transition, and it would get Engvall off your goddamn PP2, and Giordano would run the second power play. So,
geez, tell me how you really feel.
Well, I mean, if you to me, you have Spezza and Giordano running your second power play. all of a sudden your power play has more of a threat than currently Pierre Engvall being the shooter on the number 2 power play.
I'm not arguing, but I'm just laughing about how you said it. It was funny.
Yeah, so it's like to me that just makes sense, but obviously things would have to fall into place and so on and so forth. So
And when does the
not
NHL
sure how it
ever
works,
make sense, Kyle?
sure, but I mean, it could work.
It could work for sure. Let's switch gears. I don't even know where I want to start with this next story, but the Arizona Coyotes almost got locked out of their arena because they didn't pay fees.
Yep.
How? You are a professional sports organization. Do you know what they blamed it on?
What they blame
An unfortunate human error. Y'all are a professional sports team. You have enough. You should have enough people to check that. It should
Yeah, the
not
problem is
come
they
down
don't.
to one
Problem
person.
is they don't have enough money. That's the problem.
It still shouldn't come down to one person.
Fair, agreed.
Like,
I found it hilarious that Batman came out. Oh my God, there's no chance that they're moving anywhere. I'm like, they don't have money. There's no chance. There's no chance the Coyotes actually paid that. It was 100% the NHL paid it. There's not even a question, right? Because the club said it settled its debt. Didn't say they paid it. They just said they settled the debt, which means the NHL wrote the Coyotes a check for $1.3 million. It said, hey, don't get locked out of your goddamn arena. Pay the friggin' bill.
figure it out. Yeah, but like,
Yeah.
the thing that gets me is the human error reason. Like, I'm sorry, I'm sure the city of Glendale and was it the whole? Is it just the city or what is it? Who did it? No, it's the Arizona Department of Revenue.
Yeah,
I'm sure they
like,
sent you a couple freaking letters. No one decided to read them.
Yeah.
Don't give me human error. Yes, it might have been initially a human error, but you must have had time to fix this because they were going back. How long were these going back? These were going back. Arena invoices outstanding from last season.
Yeah.
It's not like it's this year. It's not like it was just this month that they forgot to file. It was last year's crap. Like,
yeah, it's something that you can't have.
I don't get it. And we were just there.
Oh, 100%. And like, don't get me wrong, the arena is beautiful. Like it looks like on the outside, it's great. And the inside, it's kind of,
it's fine.
But,
like, it's not a bad arena, but it's not a great arena.
But like walking up to it,
it's gorgeous.
Great. Like it looked great on the outside.
The little stuff that they have out front of it, all the shopping, all the restaurants, it's great. It's an atmosphere.
Yeah.
There's a rink out there. I don't know how they put a rink in Arizona, but
yeah, we were trying to figure that out. But I mean, like, the city already opted out for next year, so Arizona needs a new place to play next year. So, and the best is Bettman making the statement saying that the city of Glendale either has an agenda or has a vendetta against the Coyotes. And I'm like, no, they just don't make money.
Actually, no, they might because they're not freaking paying them.
Yeah,
I would have a vendetta too.
Yeah.
If you or Justin stopped paying me after like golf rounds and stuff, I'd be really pissed too.
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of those like, it's one of those like maybe they just don't want them there because they don't actually make the money. Like maybe it's just simple as that.
It pretty much is as simple as that. But like it's time to ask the question. Well, it's not time to ask the question. The question's been asked for a while. But is it finally time to move this team?
I mean, I would say yes, but clearly Bettman doesn't want
I don't care about
anything to do
Bettman. I'm
with
asking you. And wait, does this team need to be moved?
I say yes. And like, I think there's two realistic options right now. And obviously Montreal is one of them. I'm pretty sure they've made the renovations to that rink too, that they needed to qualify for an NHL rink. Yeah.
You said Montreal.
Quebec.
I was like, Montreal.
Sorry, it's in the Quebec.
In the Quebec.
in the Quebec province. And I think the other area I think is Houston actually.
Yeah.
Obviously, you could create a technically crosstown rivalry with Dallas, I guess. And have it be the Battle of Texas.
Yeah. Cross-state rivals.
Yeah, and it'd be one of those. I think Houston, with a giant population in that city, clearly wants some sort of team. I mean, it would be another losing team like the Texans, but in saying that, at least it's something.
But that's also a community that has had hockey before, right? Like both of those are
for sure.
communities that have had hockey before, right? The Nordiques and the Arrows of the WHA.
Something like that, yeah.
I think so.
So I think they do well, and I think they would draw better than Arizona because people, we saw this. People in Arizona don't want to go to hockey. It's like maybe even when they were good, I'm pretty sure they didn't draw full stadiums. So it's like, I mean, they had one of the arguably best players in the NHL in Shane Doan for years, and couldn't draw for the life of them. Yes, it wasn't in Glendale at that point, but still.
Yeah, it's true, and that's the problem. Is that like we were there. I know I joked about by saying this, but I'm still like kind of not joking. I'm pretty sure there was more people in the suites than there was in the lower bowl.
Yeah, I think so.
Like it was close. I'm sure there was more people in the lower bowl for the game that we were at, but like if there was, it was not by much. And
no.
That's a problem. If you can't fill out the lower section, or if you can't fill out either the lower or the upper bowl, depending on ticket prices, right? Like, that's a problem.
And the thing is, like, the tickets weren't expensive. That's the thing. If they were expensive still, and like, the team wasn't playing well, obviously they're not great right now, but like, I would get it if they were expensive. They weren't. They were $30 or $40 US.
Right? Yeah, I think with all the fees that we paid, it ended up being $68 each.
Yeah, and I think it was, and we sat 8 rows from the ice.
Row K.
So it's like,
it was row K, so whatever K is in the alphabet.
Yeah. So it was like one of those like, and if we wanted to, we could have gone down another 4 rows and sat there too because they were empty. So it's like there's definitely potential for them to move elsewhere, but it seems like I don't know what Bettman wants to keep it in Arizona. I don't get it. I really don't. But obviously, there's a reason why he's commissioner. So,
yep,
it is what it is, I guess.
And let's not sugarcoat it. Gary Bettman has done great things for the league in his time as commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
Has he made some bonehead decisions? Absolutely. But any commissioner, no matter what, is probably going to end up on the wrong end of a couple decisions. It's just the nature of the job. But the guy has done a great job growing the game and growing the league money. Mm-hmm. So you can't fault him for that. But I think his time might be coming to an end soon.
Yeah, I would agree.
All right, dude. Let's get to final thoughts and get out of here. You got places to be. I got things to do. So, final thought of the week. Hit it.
Final thought of the week. I had it, and I lost it between us doing this. Final thought of the week. Well, honestly, Grey Cup. Grey Cup is this Sunday. Obviously, I'm not a huge CFL guy. Obviously, I know my CFL stuff, but
you watch the games, but not religiously. I know.
Exactly. So, to me, I think it's a great opportunity for Canadian football to gain another step and potentially show off what they can do. It's got to be a good game to truly show it off. So
it is.
I'm awaiting that. Also, the other thing that I wanted to touch on was John Tortorella is an absolute moron. Did you see his statements? That? Yeah, that was. If anybody hires him as a head coach, they should drop out of the league immediately. He's like, oh yeah, the Zegras thing doesn't deserve to be in hockey. Go away. Stop it. It was a good goal. It's good for the NHL because it's showing the skill of the NHL. 20 years ago, you would have been decked for that. Well, it's not 20 years ago, torts. Go away. So, I mean, I could go on a very explicit rant if I really wanted to, but I'm going to avoid that right now.
I kind of want to hear the rant, but I'm going to let it go.
Yeah. So,
That'll be
I mean,
for you and me off air.
yeah. So it's like torts, let it go. It's the way the game is now. You can't be still thinking it's 2000 where you're going to have a guy go headhunt somebody. It's not happening.
No.
So, I mean, that's just I'm happy where the game is now. It's a very entertaining game now. Don't get me wrong, it was entertaining back then too, but it's just not the way the game played now. No. So it's he's got to get up to the times and figure things out. So.
Yep. I agree with you 100%. I saw that while we were doing this recording. It popped up on my phone. I'm just like, oh, torts. No.
Yeah.
That ain't it, Chief. That ain't it. Building on your Grey Cup, final thought. I'm going to go the other way. I'm producing the show, so I know a lot about the Cup now. Kickoff, 6 p.m. tomorrow on TSN, obviously. Make sure you tune in. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm also very interested on a different pace. We got a couple Canadians in the round of 16 of Champions League, dude. Jonathan David, Alphonso Davies both make it through with Bayern and Lille. Lille looked really good in the group stage. I know people weren't sure how they were going to react after winning last year in the French league and then kind of being the team. They look solid, and they're a dangerous team. I'm excited to see how far they are going to be able to make it. And obviously we'll get Irfan's take on that as well next time he's on the show. By the way, dude, I don't know if you know this, but next episode is 100 since the relaunch.
Since the rebrand?
Yeah, not bad, eh? So that'll be a fun little episode right before Christmas, last one of the year. We'll make it a good one.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting because I will be in the bag, so that'll be fun.
You'll be in the bag? Why will you be in the bag?
Oh, I got plans on Friday night, so that'll be fun.
Oh, goody. We're going to have a hungover Kyle for episode 100. Well, as always, guys, if you are looking to follow us at Garage Door Sport on Twitter, at Garage Door Sports on Instagram. If you're looking for myself, it's at Nick McVicker. If you're looking for Kyle, it's at Kyle Vardy. Make sure you follow us for more sports updates, as well as just fun random tweets. If you're looking for Kyle at the Betting House, don't forget to check out Betting House Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Touchline TH for Touchline Thoughts as well. You heard the commercial. IRFAN and Paige are doing great things. Paige is home now as well, so they're actually doing stuff, which is cool. Did you see their sweaters?
Their hoodies are pretty cool.
They got nice sweaters. We got to get something like that for us, man. I have mine, but we need more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess other than that, thank you for listening, everybody. We appreciate the time that you spend with us. We appreciate you listening at all. We will be back next time. Have a great one.